Hey guys, welcome to another video of MaxiAspie, and today guys I'll be talking about autism and grieving. Many of you guys might not know, but I lost my dog about 2 weeks ago now. Sadly he was really ill and we had to sadly let him go. And through this time actually I've realised how grieving actually has impacted me a lot, and how upset I've been and all the kind of things that I've gone through the last couple of 2 weeks. So today guys I wanted to make a video about autism and grieving, and actually how it may impact somebody with autism differently than how it may impact someone else without a condition. Now it's safe to say that grieving affects us all, and also grieving affects us all in different ways anyway. But with autism, because we will worry about things more, we don't sometimes understand severity of situations. Sometimes we don't even realise what's happened. We go into denial, we don't acknowledge it, we don't factor that into our day-to-day lives, because actually it would be more upsetting for us to do that than not. And throughout childhood and growing up into adulthood as well, some people may not even recognise what death is. You know, some people might not be able to recognise that they're never going to see that person again, and that can be really difficult to explain to someone with autism. On top of that, people with autism can also then obsess about things, you know, about death, or to the point where I've heard some stories where people are afraid to go to sleep because, you know, they've seen this person in their lives day to day and now they're gone, and now they don't want to fall asleep in case it happens to them, which is again quite a common thing that does happen. Also on top of that, then there is self-blame, there is denial, there's guilt, there's a recognition of how do I even process these thoughts, there's overload, there's all of the above. And how do you also explain death to somebody with autism? That can be really difficult as well. But some statements like, you know, they've gone to a better place, or she's gone now, you know, and explaining it more sensitively. Now obviously it's worse if it's a shock death, because it takes everybody by shock. And again, with people with autism, they're used to their day-to-day routine. They're used to, you know, being able to ring that person up, or going home and seeing the dog, for example, when now the dog or that person is not there anymore. And that can really impact them, because as much groundwork you can lay to explain what's happening, for instance if someone is ill, as much prep work you can do to say, well, this is why this is happening, this is why this is happening, this is why we've got to take them to the hospital, this is why we've got to do this. As much as that prep work you can do, and there's a reason behind that, well, she's not very well, she's sick, or, you know, this can happen, you know, so we're trying to get her better. All of that stuff really helps, because when it does happen it's not so much shock, and also you've explained it beforehand, which helps people with autism develop and process the information. When it's a shock death, I think the key for people with autism, but also just people in general, is support each other, make sure that you're there for each other, make sure that you're always willing to talk. If it needs explaining, even if you don't feel it needs explaining, explain it anyway. Explain it in a way that they understand, write it down, and also do as much repair building, I feel, as possible. You know, like talking about them more. You know, it's okay to talk about them. Everyone's going to be upset, but it's okay to talk about them. Also writing the information down. Sometimes you don't really process it until, you know, it's written, so that can always help. Maybe holding a funeral. I think if it's for a pet, obviously it's a bit difficult, a bit different, but hold a funeral, get the basis of your decision, get them involved on that or not. It can be really tough, obviously grieving, it can be really tough anyway, but I feel as much as you involve them in discussion, involve them in everything beforehand and after, it will help get through that tough time. But if you hear things, you know, like they're obsessive of death, or they're not sleeping because they're scared that they're not going to fall asleep, and I'm not just talking about, you know, adults, I'm talking more about, you know, children with autism that may sadly go through this. You know, it's not an odd thing to hear about, you know, them obsessing about death, them not wanting to get to sleep. You know, it's quite common, but as much as you're there for them and you understand that, then you can get them through it. But guys, I just wanted to talk about it briefly, and I hope it helped to some degree, because it can be a difficult subject, and it's a thing to get your head around for anybody. But with autism, I feel that sometimes we need to understand what's happened before we can process it and get through it. And unfortunately, even with myself, some things that, I don't understand, some things, I need to process first before I can actually feel sad or happy about. And and people without a condition can just do that naturally, but for us we need to process the information and get through that before we can even think about the emotional side of things. And I think that's a really key thing. That's for me anyway, and I'm not saying that is everybody with autism, but that's what's helped for me over the years, and it may be the case for other people as well. But guys, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions for me, leave them in the comments, and any things that might help me, that has helped family members or yourself or anyone, leave your comments down below. Feel free to subscribe, and guys, thank you for watching. Take care and goodbye for now.